Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here on our channel, our website, or social media. Reach out to tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing. And today we're discussing the new for 2019 Audemars Piguet Royal Oak self-winding 15500ST. This is the newest generation of the Bedrock Royal Oak, not the Jumbo. This one's more water resistant in effect, much tougher in its construction, technically more advanced and larger on the wrist. The stainless steel watch now powered by a new movement with a revised dial, but a familiar fit. We've known the automatic 41 since 2012, and of course you can see on the wrist it remains a broad presence, albeit flat. 41 millimeters in diameter, the watch is only 10.4 millimeters thick, and there are two ways to measure it. 50.3 millimeters if you measure just lug to lug, but if you include the plots, which are these little intermediate links, the watch does flare a bit from its lugs, meaning the actual span across the wrist is a meteor 52.3 millimeters. Of course, being as flat as it is, it will easily wear underneath a dress cuff. This watch is a good example of a timepiece that splits the difference between a dress timepiece and a sports watch. Now, quickly throw in this one. Under magnification, you can see what you're paying for when you buy a Royal Oak. The case and the bracelet. The bracelet, by the way, by itself takes 10 to 11 hours to finish. You can see the case, no less laborious, a rounded polished bezel flank giving way to a satin finished top, a satin finished case flank with character lines that continue unimpeded from bezel to mid-case to case back. You can see the longitudinal satin finish in an expanding bevel that runs over the edge of the case, the lug hood, and then perfectly aligned across the shoulders of the primary links. You can see vertical satin finish, longitudinal satin finish, and if you look at the end of these little intermediate plots, you can see they are mirror polished. AP including fine manual finish where you can barely even see it. On the underside, you can see their familiarity with bracelet construction after all these years, gaps between the links preventing the pinching of skin, the pulling of hair, or the trapping of wrist heat. I wish Patek would do this. Audemars Piguet does things the right way. Removable links fixed by screws, not pins and sleeves. And the clasp, which is twin trigger released and double deployant, feels redoubtable enough to fit to an offshore. These clasps have improved a great deal over the years. They are now so sturdy that they truly do feel like they should be standard issue on an aggressive sports watch. Internally, you can see both media blasting and satin finish, nicely made. It is a sequential close with the AP logo closing second. Rolling back to the case, you can see that fine finish once more in one of the original style signatures from the 1972 Gerald Genta original. It's the hairline expression of the bezel gasket between the case and the bezel as a styling element of the watch. Screw down crown on this watch, unlike the Jumbo, though they're both rated 50 meters water resistant. With the screw down on this one, I believe this to be a true surface swimmable watch. I would not swim with the Jumbo. The bracelet's held on by screws and bars, and that is the right way to build an expensive and heavy sports watch. No spring bars here, screws and bars for assembly. The crown is hexagonal in form, and that references the white gold bolts that are sunken within the bezel. The bezel is octagonal, a bit of a rounded polygon. It's inspired by the viewport of a diving helmet, and then we have a dial that is the Grande Tapisserie, and you can see the Grande Tapisserie is a larger hobnail than the Petite Tapisserie that you find on the Jumbo. This hobnail, though, like the Jumbo, is cut on a pantograph, a 19th century lathe that takes a small replication based on a larger template. So there's a large template of this dial with very detailed resolution, and then the pantograph recreates that dial pattern on a small brass blank to create what you see here, and that is a 19th century mimicry engine. Now, I should mention that this watch was new for 2019, not just because it's a new movement. The dial brought changes. Most obvious is the removal of the automatic script down at 6 o'clock. That shouldn't have been there. I'm glad it's gone. Another change was the reduction of the stub index down at 3 o'clock. That has been removed, so there's no longer a stub index at 3 o'clock. There were some small changes to the hands as well as the indices, but those are the big changes. The absence of automatic and the absence of the stub index. Now, the hands as well as the indices and the AP logo are white gold, so they will never oxidize, they will never tarnish over time. Another big change, and an exciting one for movement fans, was the arrival of the next generation caliber 4302 automatic. It shares its fundamental train architecture with the 4401 chronograph, and there's a lot to love here. First, it steps up the beat rate from the old Audemars Piguet 3120, it goes from 21,600 vibrations per hour to a modern 28.8 beat rate. It also adds 10 hours of power reserve. It's now a 70-hour power reserve. This 32 joule movement, which is nicely sized, as you can see, properly sized for the case, is larger in diameter than the old movement, and it features a full balance bridge and a free sprung index for shock resistance, plus a hacking seconds and a quick set date function. There's a lot to love. The finish, like FP Journe, is a combination of manual and mechanical, but you can see it's thoughtfully designed with black polished screws, satin wheels, Cote de Genève across the bridges, and a machined bevel on the edge of every bridge with an engine turning, I'll do my best to show it, but an engine turning on the base plate. A good looking movement with ceramic rotor bearings for high efficiency and a bi-directional winding system because AP doesn't like unidirectional rotor wobble. It is a capable power plant for the next generation of Audemars Piguet sports watches. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back with the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak self-winding, the 15500 by night.